Part 7. How the Ethiopian Bible survived. The truth they couldn't erase. They tried to bury it, silence it, erase it from memory. But Ethiopia held the line. By now, you already know that the Ethiopian Bible is the oldest and most complete on earth, filled with missing books, powerful truths, and ancient wisdom. But how did this sacred treasure survive the test of time? In a world where empires rose and fell, where colonization swallowed entire cultures, how did Ethiopia preserve a version of Christianity that even Rome couldn't touch? The answer is a story of faith, resilience, secrecy, and fireproof devotion. Let's start here. Ethiopia was never colonized. Let that sink in. While nearly every other African country fell under European colonial rule, languages erased, cultures suppressed, religious systems replaced, Ethiopia stood tall. When Italy tried to invade in 1896, Ethiopians crushed them at the Battle of Adwa, one of the most iconic African military victories in history. This independence allowed them to preserve their language, Ge'ez, their spiritual customs, and most importantly, their ancient scriptures. No foreign power came to translate or revise their Bible. No European editors, no political councils to determine what stayed or went. That's how the Ethiopian Bible remained untouched, raw, and original. The Ethiopian Bible wasn't just preserved through books, but through scrolls, hidden in monasteries carved into cliffs, guarded by monks who gave their lives to protect the word. We're talking about handwritten manuscripts on parchment, ink made from natural dyes, pages wrapped in cloth and hidden in mountain churches for centuries. These monks didn't just read the Bible, they memorized it, they lived it. They saw themselves as the last line of defense between the truth and the world's forgetfulness. In a way, they succeeded. While empires edited, debated, and divided the Bible in the West, Ethiopia just kept reading the original. Ge'ez, the ancient language of the divine. You ever hear a Bible verse in Ge'ez? It's not just reading, it's like singing with the voice of angels. Ge'ez is an ancient Semitic language that predates Arabic and Hebrew in many forms. It's no longer a spoken language, but it is still used in liturgy and scripture. The Ethiopian Bible, also called the Makdaf Kedos, was originally written in Ge'ez. This means the Ethiopians didn't rely on Latin or Greek translations, didn't need King James or Constantine's edits, didn't wait for missionaries to deliver scripture. They already had the word, in their own tongue, in its full ancient depth. Some of the world's oldest churches are in Ethiopia, and you know, they're not just buildings, they're living museums of faith. Take Lalibela, for example, a city of rock-hewn churches carved directly into the earth in the 12th century. Some say they were built by angels. These churches hold ancient relics, manuscripts, and canonical and non-canonical texts. Other churches like Debre Damo or the monasteries on Lake Tana's islands have libraries of books no Western scholar had seen until, well, recent decades. It's here that some of the oldest copies of the Book of Enoch, Jubilees and the Infancy Gospels were found, still preserved in their original Ge'ez. For centuries, the Western world ignored the Ethiopian Bible, but then scholars started digging. In the 20th century, British and European researchers began examining Ethiopia's biblical manuscripts. They were stunned by what they found, books they'd never seen, stories they thought were lost, and scriptures that predated the King James Bible by centuries. One British researcher famously said, "The Ethiopian Bible is not a version, it's a portal into Christianity before Europe touched it." Suddenly museums wanted copies, universities wanted translations, and you know, African scholars began asking, why didn't we know about this? Because it didn't fit the narrative. Let's be real. The Ethiopian Bible challenged the power of Rome and England's versions of Christianity. It empowered Africa with ancient divine authority, and it introduced spiritual books the Western Church had banned centuries ago. If people knew that Africa had the original, then the whole idea of the West bringing Christianity to Africa would collapse. The spiritual superiority complex would get checked, and Africa's role in biblical history would finally be restored. So instead of celebrating it, the world dismissed it. But they couldn't erase it, despite silence, despite isolation, despite the pressures of modern Christianity. The Ethiopian Orthodox Church never abandoned their scripture. Even today, Ge'ez is still taught in Ethiopian seminaries. Ancient scrolls are still sung in liturgy. The full 81-book Bible is still read, studied, and loved. It's a story of spiritual resistance unlike anything in the world. The big question, why haven't you heard this before? Honestly, because the world still doesn't want to deal with the truth. It's easier to say Africa received the gospel from missionaries than to admit Africa preserved the gospel while Europe rewrote it. It's easier to show a King James Bible in hotel drawers than to ask what books are missing. But guess what? The veil is lifting. People are waking up. Africans are reclaiming their spiritual heritage. Scholars are asking real questions. And more importantly, the Ethiopian Bible is getting louder. In Part 8, we'll reveal the Council of Nicaea's political agenda, how it shaped what you read in the Bible today, and how Ethiopia wasn't even invited to the table. We'll also show how the discovery of the Ethiopian Bible rocked religious scholars and why it's one of the best kept secrets in religious history. This journey isn't over, it's just beginning.